And they're making the money off the backs of the LGSs, not off of the people.
This is pretty.
The LGSs are going out of business left and right.
Businesses in general are going out. I mean, anybody.
No, you're the one that stated the case, Lance, that said that it's growing. You're the one that's making the argument.
No, the game can be growing, but the outlets that sell it might not be. I mean, there are less places that sell fertilizer now than ever, but fertilizer is more used than ever.
Well, and just quite frankly, if you have less stores, you have less places to play Magic.
Yeah, for sure. In an organized way with other people there. But I mean, as Commander Raids, I think, is a great example of a lot of things becoming digitized. Arena being one of those things as well.
But I mean, at this point, you know, I'm just a spectator, really, on the sidelines.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. I could be totally wrong about all of it. So all of you should really watch Pat Short about, I don't know shit. He doesn't know shit. He doesn't know shit. Nobody knows shit.
We're all just making our best guess.
But for me, it doesn't give me any comfort from the things that I see. So which of these
don't own?
Yeah, I mean that's just a pure feels bad commander, right? So you're going to play all those cards where you're ripping cards off other people's decks, right?
Right. Yeah, and like
it's like, eek.
Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage, look at the top of the next off. Yeah,
what is green, black, blue?
I could just not do this, and it would be
Sultai.
Cool. Sultai, okay.
Sultai's the best color combination in the game.
Wow, this is an expensive commander. Holy moly, 8.
You better be insane.
They saw.
No, it costs less for every card in your graveyard.
He has a discount built into him.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Somebody saw Mando and was like, "Oh, I should do that, but on a Magic card."
Yeah, it truly is, man.
This just looks like somebody used AI really well. God, you guys want to touch on that for a bit about Magic the Gathering and copyright infringement?
Oh,
and
the enchantment.
Honestly, I don't want to. I mean, I think that they're such a large company cranking out so much product that things are going to slip through, and they can't control the morality of all of the artists, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they're supposed to like check. I don't know if there's a way to check to see if each art submitted is.
I'm sure they run a sort of scan to try to catch things, but that wasn't an exact duplicate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I look at what people are saying.
It was an exact duplicate, but it was an exact duplicate of like multiple things put together. It wasn't just like it wasn't just straight up the card or the guy. It was like two different.
Changed, like if people haven't talked about this, but even the position of that person's right arm had changed. Didn't have anything in the one, did with like a sorted it in the other, right? The hairstyle was slightly more cropped in one than the other. Was it clearly a very close representation of it? Sure. But when you start getting into all that nonsense, it's like I don't know where you draw that line of drawing inspiration from something. Everything's a copy of something else, right? Yeah. Either slightly different or slightly better. Now, if it's an exact copy of something, I think then you have an issue. But when it's close but altered, where do you draw that line then?
Yeah, I mean, some of the thumbnails that I make, I get like a little worried that maybe I'm like close to copywriting because like I'll take art and then I'll like edit it a bunch, but I don't know where's the line? Like how much do I have to edit it to make it my own? Is it just the color? Is it just the shape? Is it just can I use like some parts of it? I don't know. But I figure we're small enough to where it probably doesn't matter. And if it does matter,
I mean it's one thing to aim to do a similar style, especially on YouTube thumbnails. I mean, nowadays it's pretty basic stuff, everybody's doing kind of the same thing. So I don't think that there's anything terribly wrong with that kind of stuff. And as far as images and shit like that, there's definitely some fair use, Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I got to be honest, I think at this point, artists if they're getting paid at all, are lucky, because AI today, you can clearly see that's going to be
Pretty damn
replacing
good.
a whole lot of artists really soon. It's going to be replacing a whole lot
like
of
the
people.
thumbnail for this one, that took me about 5 minutes. I think that was the second generation on an AI thing this morning. And then going to like cooltext.com.
AI's only going to get a lot better from here, right?
Yeah.
Like in the next 10 years, it's going to be surpassing what artists do.
10 months. The next 10 months are going to be so compoundingly changing. And that's one of the things about the parabolic curve of increase we're seeing in intelligence in these systems. Like, large models are just becoming better and better and better because they're like doing machine learning against each other. So now they're like checking each other instead of just generating wildly. So like the amount of hallucinations we've seen in AI is just dropped to the floor.
And it's going to continue to get better. So at this point, if I was an artist, I would be very afraid if that was what I was doing for a living. And honestly, as you saw, you not just art. How about the generation you did for the exit for our show? So literary works are going to be in jeopardy. Artworks are going to be in jeopardy. Anything creative is going to be in jeopardy. Even my job as a software engineer. You know, they're getting good at creating code.
It does come out with a lot of extra like fingers and stuff. I was screwing around with a puppy playing with the dinosaur in the style of a coloring book with heavy lines, all black and white, so you could fill it in yourself. And the dog kept coming out with like 6 legs. It was so wild.
Dude, it loves adding limbs.
So DJ weird. Is right with his thing, and I've said this before. I even mentioned it to my daughter. I've mentioned it to a few people. The term that you're looking for there is a term out there. It's called prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge field in the coming years.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yes, you have to. Yeah, you can have all the great, how do we put this? Like in an orchestra, you can have the best orchestral players in the world on every different instrument, but you still need to have a conductor that makes them all come together in a useful and meaningful way. Otherwise, your symphony just sounds like shit. So you're going to need to have prompt engineers at whatever skill set that they're doing, and they're going to have to know how to communicate effectively with AI and the different iterations of AI. AI is changing so fast right now. It's insane. Like, I can't even keep up with whatever the latest versions of things are.
I gotta say, I love this. Was one of my favorite ones. If Tremors was an anime series.
That's pretty good. It's pretty dope. I'd watch whatever that is.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And I think, we're seeing so many different uses and back end ins and outs for AI. So one of the things I've been doing lately is creating short stories, like small movie synopses, and then taking those and then jamming it back into AI and saying, give me 5 storyboard designs that will explain this movie. So in about 15 minutes, you can design a story and then have a storyboard of images to go along with it and stuff like that. It's not the software that's going to take over. It's people that use the software that are going to do better and better with it. I mean, like, you're seeing how Superfast Tortoise, what he's doing for his editing and his creation, phenomenal. And it's just getting better and better the more that people use it. Stuff like Sora. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tyler Perry was building an $800 million production studio, and he stopped when Sora came out on the market. Like,
well, here's the thing: you're going to have everything replaced.
Yeah,
movies, music. Like, they're going to have full-on movies rather than paying actors, $50 million for it. You just pay for the cycles for the AI to insert. Yeah. Like, when did you see Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian?
I don't watch Star Wars stuff.
It was astounding what that they can actually do with AI in movies. That they look just like people.
Yeah,
honestly, The Mandalorian is fairly far away from Star Wars. You might enjoy it if you don't like Star Wars, but you like Mandalorian.
The only reason I'm like any part familiar with The Mandalorian is because Disney has been doing some of the most progressive stuff as far as like their Imagineers and shit. What they did for The Mandalorian, they had like a 40-foot LED wall. It was just like a giant panel of TVs, so that the person walking around wasn't just on a green screen set. They actually had something to look at and interact. And it made things so much easier in the editing and post. And now they have like these like walk around mats where you stand on this mat and you can walk in any direction and it just moves you, like those FedEx packing facility floors. Disney's doing some really good stuff. They've got some incredible mechanical engineering.
Now imagine getting rid of all that and just doing it on a computer. Like AI is going so fast that in our lifetime, I think that we're going to see entire replacements of movie studios, of sound sets and stages. But I mean, you may still have. I bet the voice acting will still have to be done by people
to some extent.
Wow, you could definitely get that done a whole lot cheaper than you can hiring actors to be on set. So I think that we'll see ultimately an entire replacement. It's all AI. Like we'll see the first AI movie. Mark my words, it'll happen probably in the next 5 to 10 years. That's all AI.
Yeah. I mean, there are some that are already short. There was a Sora one that was, I think, 60 seconds. And that's, I mean, a clip, I guess. But that's on the way to a short film. I mean, in 60 seconds, you can have an emotional attachment and experience in something.
Sure.
And it's just going to get longer and better. Giggity.
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, I think that's where we're heading. You know, our entertainment is going to get replaced. The entertainment creators will get replaced first. I think that's going to be the easiest thing, and a huge cost reduction. Right. I think that, you know, in the same vein, where that's going to meld onto the battlefield. Like, I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about this on YouTube, but I think it's the writing's on the wall if you're paying attention to what's going on over in Europe.
Oh, and cyber warfare in general is definitely.
I just mean the drones, man. Now marry drones with AI. Why would you ever build a tank or a ship?
You know, they can do target acquisition. That's something that we have with the Geneva Accords, but the final choice has to be made by a human. They can do all sorts of target acquisition and fly around and like self-monitor and no, we've
had missiles for decades on our planes that do target acquisition that have nothing to do with human beings.
It's just that the final
there's what's called a fire and forget method of warfare, which we've had for decades.
Well, fire and forget is, you know, guided missile systems.
Okay, but it's making the final choice of what target to hit.
No, it's you hit it. They find the target, but a person still has to hit a button.
No. You get an initial target acquisition, and once you press the button,
that's what I mean.
And it's going to determine what target it hits.
That's what it. There still has to be the choice of the person saying go.
Sure, and what I'm going to say is that what they're going to do is say that all targets that are drone targets are just going to be pick one. Nobody's going to care about picking a drone. You're not picking a human being. You're just taking out a drone. So I'm just saying that all of this is melding into. We're at a fundamental shift in human evolution, in the human experience, both with warfare, entertainment. Like, so much is going to change in the next 20 years. Humanity is going to have some very, very serious existential questions to answer, right?
Oh, yeah. What is consciousness is still eluding people, and it has for hundreds, if not thousands of years at this point. One of the most philosophical questions is, what is it to be a person? What is a soul? What does existing mean? You know? And
I think one of the things we're going to see first, though, is like replacing people at drive-thrus with AI at the ordering kiosk.
Well, and not just that, but also like the integration of the Burgermeister robots that make burger. Like, you load it up with ground beef and some lettuce in another tin and buns in another, and it just makes burgers. And then you have that powered by the AI speaker box that talks to people. You have the self cash out where you either tap your card or stick in cash. And now there's like one person. It's like you're at Aldi's where there's like 2 people in the whole freaking store, Dollar General style, where it's mostly self-service or it's all functionality built in by machinery. And part of that machinery is now the interfacing.
So a large part of that, I think, is going to be a cost savings, to wrap this back around, because we are kind of drifting far from it. But